Okay.
It's like good.
Okay, are we ready to begin? I will start with roll call.
Commission Chair Kramer,
Present.
Commission Vice Chair O'Connor,
Here.
Commissioner Parker,
Here.
Commissioner Bruner,
Here.
and Commissioner Fletcher.
Here.
Let the record show that we have a quorum with 5 commissioners present, and as Commissioner Switzler and Bruner absent, but Bruner will be a few minutes late. Sorry, Wick.
Okay, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I can lead it tonight. 1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do we have any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda,
And how about oral communications?
and there are no oral communications.
Okay, it looks like we have no presentations tonight. So we can move on to approval of minutes. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve last month's meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve last month's meeting minutes.
Great.
I'll second.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. All right, and then we'll move on to our informational item. We have an update on SB 1383 and the Zero Waste Program from Paul Meckler. Thanks. Paul?
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Paul Meckler, Zero Waste Program Administrator for the City of Encinitas. I'm joined to my right by Matthew Cleary, General Manager of North County EDCO, our partner in all of this. We're here to give an update on the Zero Waste Program. So we're going to talk a little bit about sort of the regulatory background, the drivers and targets that we have both at a state level and at a local level. Some of EDCO is going to talk about the extensive services that they provide to our residents and our program to help us drive us towards these goals. We're going to give a sort of year in review or almost year in review update of some of the initiatives we've taken since last August when we presented to council. And then we're also going to look ahead at some of the planned initiatives in the upcoming year. So just to kick it off, so it always bears repeating our hard stop regulatory drivers. So AB 939, it's a bill, pretty old bill, passed in 1989, but mandates a 50% diversion requirement and expresses it as a a disposal rate of pounds per person per day. And for Encinitas, that target is 7.5. We've obviously been meeting and exceeding that for some time, but it still bears putting up there because it is a regulatory driver for us. SB 1383, short-lived greenhouse gas emission reduction bill, so named because depending on which study you look at, anywhere from 40 to 50% of food waste is landfilled, and so the goal of that is to obviously divert that both from a greenhouse gas emission reduction standpoint. We don't want that decomposing in the landfills and emitting greenhouse gases, but we also want to look at it as a resource and promote the circular economy. And so that's sort of the idea behind 1383. And some of the primary tenets of that are mandatory organics recycling for businesses, residents, the city for the most part, with a few exceptions. And then edible food recovery, there's a 20% target to recover 20% of edible food rather than going to landfill to get that to those in need and address food insecurity in California. And then procurement of recycled organic waste products. And so this is sort of SB 1383 closing that loop on that circular economy to mandate that cities use to some degree the compost, mulch, and energy that comes as a result of the anaerobic digestion process. And so really, I'm a huge proponent of this, and this is a big driver of I think what's going to help get us to our climate action plan goal, which the climate action plan measure of Zero Waste 1, implement a zero waste program with the goal of 3 pounds per person per day disposal rate by 2030. There was also an interim goal, that's the orange line you're seeing there, of 5.3, which we are now passing. As you can see, we still have some work to do to get to 3 by 2030. So just a quick overview of the zero waste program. So obviously the primary goal, surprise, surprise, is maximize diversion from landfill. And that means obviously diverting, but also reducing your waste and providing access and awareness for residents, businesses, visitors on proper disposal and the programs that we do have available. So that's everything from organics to HHW to blue bin recycling. But we also want to implement that effectively, meaning we always want to make data-driven decisions, look at the most favorable cost-benefit decisions, meaning where are we going to get the most bang for our buck as far as implementing and where are the biggest diversion opportunities. And then, of course, we are a municipality, so adherence to regulatory mandates and enforcement of local ordinance is always going to be a critical component of our program. I'll just note here on the CalRecycle graphic here, it's 1383, but it's not coming. It's here. It's in full steam ahead as of 2024. So with that, I will pass it over to Matthew Cleary, GM of EDCO, who will talk about how EDCO supports our program.
Great, thanks, Paul. As Paul mentioned, for those of you that I've not met, my name is Matthew Cleary. I'm the general manager for the Northern Division of EDCO. I have the privilege of serving this role and serving the citizens and businesses of Encinitas. I joined EDCO just this past October by way of the city of San Diego, where I spent 25 years, with the last 17 of those years in solid waste. We have a "we'll take care of it" mantra and culture at EDCO, and I'm committed to maintaining that culture throughout my tenure in this role. Family-owned and operated EDCO has been providing solid waste services in the region since 1967 with a focus on customer service. As a company, EDCO does not own or operate landfills and has incentivized diversion since our inception. We do this by operating 3 material recovery facilities in Southern California. The largest of those 3 facilities is 70,000 square feet, can process 240,000 tons of recyclables per year, and is located right here in North County. And to give you an example, in 2024, Encinitas produced just under 80,000, I think it was 76,000 tons of refuse, recyclables, and organic waste. So 240,000 tons is 3 Encinitases that can be processed through our recycling facility in 1 year. EDCO's anaerobic digester currently allows us to capture organic waste and process up to 93,000 tons annually, from which we harvest the methane produced, allowing us to fuel our fleet of carbon-negative refuse collection vehicles used in your community. Currently, we're expanding our AD facility by adding 2 additional digestion vessels, which will allow us to double the capacity to 186,000 tons of organic material processed annually. We anticipate those 2 additional digesters will be up and running this time next year. And for those of you who haven't yet had an opportunity to tour our facility, I'd like to invite you to take me up on that offer, and I'd be happy to accompany you and provide you that tour of our facilities. It's truly my pleasure to be able to support the City of Encinitas, and we do this in more ways than just picking up your refuse, recycling, organics, and I'll get to those in some upcoming slides. But first, some of the main services we provide the community. Next slide, please. Of course, our core services are the collection of solid waste, recyclables, yard waste, and other compostables that accumulate within the city. EDCO is responsible for implementing provisions of the household hazardous waste element required by the California Public Resources Code, and we accomplish this through our household hazardous waste contract with Clean Earth, and made available to all Regional Solid Waste Association, or RISWA cities, to which Encinitas is actually a member. Additional programs provided by EDCO include the shredding, e-waste, and mulch event, with the most recent event occurring on May 24th. EDCO and city staff served 606 cars, collected 10.3 tons of paper for shredding, 6.3 tons of e-waste, and diverted 1.3 tons of items for reuse to Goodwill. In addition, we provided an entire container or 40 yards of mulch to participants for use around their homes. 10.3 tons of paper at a shredding event is amazing. It's an incredible amount of paper. The ever-popular disposal coupon was mailed to residents in the spring edition of our Environmental Times newsletter and allows for 1 trip to the Palomar transfer station from April to November to dispose of bulky items or remnants of construction projects. home cleanouts, et cetera. And lastly, EDCO provides refuse recycling and organic collection to city facilities at no additional cost. As part of our commitment to enhance public education and outreach, EDCO continues to provide pertinent information to our residents and community partners. As an example, EDCO began an extensive outreach campaign to multifamily property owners and residents last fall, consisting of mailers identifying the resources offered, which include move-in kits for distribution to new tenants, recycling brochures on what goes where, flyers for ongoing distribution, posters to place in visible areas around the property and around dumpster enclosures, personal site visits, links to educational videos, in-person and virtual presentations, and I'll have more on this to come in some upcoming slides. Additionally, the team developed 8 videos to support school districts in implementing organics recycling. The first geared toward administrators, the second toward custodial staff, the third video K through 6, and the fourth video 7th through 12th graders. All of those videos were done in both English and Spanish. All of those videos are also available on our website under the resources tab, and they are accessible. Let me provide some highlights year to date on how we're doing. So Encinitas residents and businesses are 100% compliant with 1383, meaning that the nearly 20,000 generators within the city have a green organics container and the ability to recycle organic waste. School outreach is 100% complete, meaning we provided information and links to the videos that I just mentioned to all public school districts and all private schools, and we're prepared to provide in-person presentations upon request. We're working our way through the multifamily education that I mentioned on the previous slide and are currently 20% complete, with a goal to complete that project by September 30th. So I mentioned the outreach via mailer. This is in-person meetings with tenants, meetings with property owners, all upon request. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, EDCO is more than just a service provider. We're an engaged community member. EDCO's field representative, Logan Betts, is on the board of the Encinitas Chamber of Commerce. We support special events, providing outreach and education to your residents and visitors. We provide technical assistance to businesses, optimize recycling efforts, ensuring that the service level is tailored correctly, and Logan presented twice at the city's Zero Waste Lecture Series this past year. I would like to take a moment to highlight the diversion numbers from calendar year 2024 compared to calendar year 2023 as a whole. Encinitas is doing great, moving the needle in a positive direction. Organic tons diverted up 24% in 2023 to 25% in 2024. And while recycling tons remained flat year over year at 13%, construction and demolition tons diverted increased to 15%, up from just 10% the year prior. Again, Encinitas continues to move the needle in the right direction on diverted 29,991 tons, or 39.7% of materials generated from the entire city from the landfill. It's a great number. So what does all that diversion mean, right? Well, it means that 39,000 trees were saved by recycling 2,318 tons of paper, 208,000 gallons of oil saved associated with recycling or producing what would replace the 125 tons of aluminum recycled, 19,000 cubic yards of landfill space preserved by recycling 2,155 tons of cardboard, 1.7 million kilowatt hours of energy saved by recycling 295 tons of PET or plastic, and 144 tons of feldspar, 290 tons of limestone, 313 tons of soda ash, 994 tons of sand saved by recycling 1,531 tons of glass. I just want to add, we couldn't do this without the great work of our employees, dedicated employees at EDCO. There's 550 in the division I oversee. There's 1,500 employees company-wide, and I can't tell you how welcoming they've been, not only to me, but they do a great job in the community every single day, and we couldn't do this great work without our employees, and I appreciate them for that. Paul, go ahead and turn it back over to you.
Well, that's a tough act to follow those numbers, but I'll pick it up with edible food recovery. This is another big thrust of SB 1383. So as of 2024, all qualifying food generators are required to have a bona fide program, and those generators are defined in SB 1383, and part of what we are tasked to do is identify those generators. We partner with Solana Center on those efforts. And as of 2024, we have 16 tier 1s and 29 tier 2s. What does that mean? In Encinitas, the tier 1s are primarily grocery stores and supermarkets. The tier 2s are primarily a couple of our larger restaurants, just a couple of our larger venues and events, health facilities that have a cafeteria, and then our local education agencies, our schools. So we conduct inspections, and they're all obligated to implement this program as of 2024. So just by the numbers here, there was 44 education outreach instances. I say instances because I didn't know how else to describe the combination of electronic, snail mail, and in-person educational visits we did to these food generators. That's also a requirement of 1383. 16 formal edible food recovery inspections conducted, and then 9 technical consultations. And technical consultation can be thought of as like a inspection light. It's typically requested by the food generator for assistance with implementing one or more components of their program. And in 2024, again, sorry, this is 2023 data, but it reported in 2024, 679,000 pounds of edible food were reported donations from food generators in Encinitas. So really big number. Program seems like, and from what we've seen of 2024 data, it looks like it's on a similar track to meet or exceed that. I added this little picture in the bottom right here because what's not included in this numbers is some of the extra efforts to recover fresh produce and other edible food by Produce Good, who the city partners with for produce recovery at the farmers market, as well as residential gleaning services. So meaning they will actually show up to a resident's house and pick their fresh produce and get that to a food recovery organization to help serve those in need. So the other half to food recovery is the food recovery organizations, the FROs, which is easily the best acronym in all of environmental science. They're the other half of the equation, critical component. They're working directly. They have agreements with the food generators by requirement of SB 1383. They're actually out there picking up the donations, getting them back to their facilities, and then dispersing them to those in need. So we have 3 FROs currently operating within the city, Community Resource Center, St. Andrews, and now Produce Good. And again, last year they reported 519,000 total pounds recovered. The reason why that doesn't line up one-to-one with the food generators is that they may be receiving donations from outside the city, and food generators may be donating to FROs outside of the city. But either way, a substantial amount, and really happy to see those numbers. So just some programmatic updates, and just for context, this was sort of when we presented to council in August. These were sort of what we saw as looking ahead. So I just wanted to, in transparency, give updates on where we took those programs in the past year. So on the residential side, and this is, I will also add, this is in addition to everything that Matthew just laid out that EDCO does on the education and outreach side. So on the residential side, we wanted to continue to expand the outreach and zero waste resources. That's, again, that whole access and awareness for our residents. So we continued with our social media campaign. That was about a post every 2 weeks through our social media channels on all things zero waste, everything from plastic utensils or don't use bioplastics and proper disposal of those to just good old-fashioned green bin guidance. We're doing monthly mulch giveaways now for our residents. Those are happening at Encinitas Community Park, typically the third Sunday of the month. Not plugging that at all, but bring your friends. Residential cleaning services through Produce Good, and universal waste collection events. This is in addition to, as Matthew mentioned, EDCO does offer door-to-door collection services of universal and household hazardous waste for our residents. But we actually have seen a 20% year-over-year increase in those services by our residents, which is great. But we also recognize the need. Some folks just want a place to take it, and so we're doing quarterly collection events at City Hall. And so this picture down here with the cardboard boxes is from the first event that we had in April. The next event, again, totally not plugging it, August 2nd. 9 a.m. to 1 at City Hall parking lot. But our first event, we had 140 total cars and 3.5 tons of universal waste, so that was electronic waste, batteries, light bulbs, and sharps, responsibly disposed of and diverted by our residents. On the commercial side, the big push is front of house organics participation, which is now mandatory, but we also still want to give a little bit of the carrot in addition to the stick. So I Love a Clean San Diego Business Waste Assessment Program has been ongoing for the past 6 months. They currently have 5 restaurants enrolled, and this is essentially what they offer as a front to back of the house assessment, waste assessment for a restaurant. That's everything from front of house signage and bins to bin right sizing to guidance on purchasing compostable or reusable products, to food waste reduction. And as part of that program, of course, they are working, hand in glove with EDCO on the right sizing. So we're expecting that report by the end of June. And then we're also developing a zero waste toolkit that has essentially the same components as the business assessment from I Love Clean San Diego, but the idea is that someone can just go on and use all those same components on their own time and at their own pace. And that's due in October of 25. And then community-wide, we want to set the tone for organics, recycling, and zero waste. And so we're continuing our partnerships. Again, this is in addition to the school outreach that EDCO is doing. We continue partnerships with BCK programs in our local schools, from everything from recycling education, lunchtime sorting, edible food recovery implementation, and mulch procurement with their general services and maintenance department. And then zero waste community events. That's going to be our pop-up environmental lecture series, our clothing swaps, and then our June 22nd from 9 a.m. to 1. There's a theme here. 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Encinitas Community Park. We're having our Encinitas Sustainable Solutions Fair, an event we've had for a long time. It's the first time we're having it at that venue. In addition to all of the sustainable solutions that our vendors will be there to offer, we're going to have a discussion panel, a mulch distribution, and electronic waste collection as part of that event. So again, hope to see you all there. And then, of course, again, we have the carrot, but we also have the stick. And so as far as enforcement, we have been doing inspections on all of these components, and we conducted a total of 65 edible food recovery, construction and demolition, and recycling. When I say recycling, that's really front of house commercial organics inspections, and 9 enforcement cases related to noncompliance with those ordinances. So I will pass it to Matthew for these first few, because these are EDCO, but this is looking ahead to the next year.
Thanks, Paul. As I mentioned previously, we are working on multifamily outreach campaign to hopefully increase the diversion from multifamily units, and that outreach includes personal site visits, technical assistance. We are meeting with residents, property owners upon request, providing that materials, the posters and the banners that I mentioned earlier are all provided as part of this. We are currently 25%, we're about 25% complete with that, with the goal to finish by September 30th. Increased participation in organics recycling. Again, the bin access, the signage that I mentioned earlier, all hand in hand with the, similar to the multifamily, but I'm always evaluating our signage to ensure that the materials conveyed or displayed are appropriate for what goes in each bin. And lastly, as I mentioned in my presentation, the project to double the anaerobic digesting capacity to 186,000 tons is well underway and is will be wrapped up this time next year. If you want to take me up on the tour that I offered earlier, it's like a really good time because you can see the it's really hard to say digesters. Digesters in construction phase. Really easy to see them. It's like peeling back, the layers of the onion to see the process and the project. But it's a really exciting time to come out and take a look. So, well.
I'm just going to give EDCO a shout out because Matthew's downplaying just the sheer amount of effort that they do day in, day out through folks like Logan working with every individual account. This picture to the right is custom bin that they have actually created for some folks that just had space issues, right? They couldn't fit all 3 bins in there. And so there's all kinds of right sizing communication with city staff as well, but EDCO does a lot of the heavy lifting there. Everything from my bin's broken, how do I swap it out, to can you help me, with signage, all of that. It is like there's so much behind the scenes that they deserve a lot of credit for. So as far as another looking ahead, C&D diversion strategy, this is, again, construction and demolition. We saw that there was a good increase year over year. We want to keep that trend going. So we're trying to simplify the process. This applies for every applicable building permit. So we revamped the waste management form. We're going to add an increased inspection component in the field to ensure that when someone says that they're going to divert 65% and this is where it's going, that's actually what we're seeing on the ground. And then again, to go back to sort of the programmatic goals here, we really want to focus our efforts on the largest diversion opportunities. So that's why we are focusing on commercial, multifamily, organics, and the construction and demolition. And then last, but certainly not least, we're doing a lot on expanding our organic waste procurement. So it's essentially access to mulch and compost at its core, but it's amazing how many sort of like mini markets there are. So our Parks and Rec folks have procured just a ton. Well, I think we actually gave the number of however many, 80 tons or whatever, a lot throughout our entire park system. So really appreciate Parks and Recs and EDCO's help with that. We mentioned the residential giveaway, mulch giveaways and compost giveaways. And we're also looking at even growers, nurseries, do they have a need for free compost that they want to give away to the folks that are showing up there. Commercial, multifamily, our HOA is interested in doing, like a community mulch giveaway. So kind of exploring every possible avenue there. So, in summary, that's all sort of our strategy of, in aggregate, how we hope to get to 3.0 pounds per person per day. It's a steep hill to climb, but you got to take it one step at a time. So with that, I will open it to any questions. I just want to thank you for your time and for listening to our presentation.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you so much, Matthew. And nice to meet you in person, Matthew. Anyone have any questions?
Oh, yeah. This is what I'm really interested in, exactly what you guys are talking about. And I want to first say that I have taken a tour. I've actually taken the tour twice, and it was really interesting. I highly recommend taking a tour. It's really inspiring, actually. I mean, there's so much that we could actually do for the environment through waste disposal. And I think EDCO's doing a fabulous job. I love the anaerobic digester. And I also learned, I took 2 tours, once in 2022 and once in 2024, and there was differences in what can go in the organic waste in terms of like coffee cups from Starbucks can now all go in organic waste, where in 22 they were saying no. So it is interesting to, so anyways, I do recommend it. And the last time I went, I was able to see what came out of the anaerobic digester, in terms of the solid material. And it definitely looked woody. It didn't look mulch-like. And so I was just wanting to check on the mulch giveaways, is that the solid waste from the anaerobic digester that has been processed further or composted further?
It is not. The mulch is yard waste, so brushy branches, that type of material.
So it's directly from the anaerobic digester?
No, it's separate. We process mulch with more yard waste. It's a completely separate product. The AD, the digestate, goes to a soil blending facility, and it's blended with soil to make an amendment, soil amendments. But the mulch is, we segregate that. We don't want to send that too much of that woody material like gardeners would provide through the digestion system, where it's more appropriate for us to grind it and provide it as mulch.
So it's completely separate?
It is. Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, I wanted to touch about it right before the meeting. We're wondering if have any of you talked about putting stickers on the waste cans so people understand what's in recycling versus what is in organic waste? As a way to educate people.
So as I mentioned earlier, that's the first I've heard of that proposal, so I would need to get some more information and get back to you on that. Other jurisdictions use inlays in their lids as a method by which to inform. I suspect that what we would put on an inlay in 2025 might be different from what would go on an inlay in 2026. So to invest to put those educational materials on the containers in this stage of our, especially with organics, I mean, what can go in the AD and be, processed changes weekly. So I would have to double check and get back to you on that.
Yeah.
See if that's an option.
Yeah, it seems like the recycling is pretty stable, though, isn't it?
Actually, they're adding new streams to the recycling, the blue bin, relatively frequently. So most recently, clamshell lids. Within the last year, clamshells are added as a recyclable component. The clear plastic you would get like on a food container that at Sprouts or Albertsons, the prepared or pre-made item that's got the black plastic and then the clear lid. Those are clamshell lids. Those are new to the recycling stream. The other new, the Franzia wine boxes with the
I'm sorry.
I'm
could
making
you
a plug
repeat
for Franzia, I know.
What did you call it?
The wine box is boxed wine. Yeah, any boxed wine, any
Oh,
boxed
like
wine.
boxed juices?
Boxed wine with the bladder inside, right?
Oh,
So those are now CRVs. That was the most recent item that was added to the
Okay.
recycling stream in the CRV. So constantly changing,
okay.
and we're constantly developing ways to try to remove those items from and separate them so we can mark them. So.
Just to interject there, like if it was something more general, maybe that it isn't going to, encapsulate categories that are going to be really like dynamic, that might be helpful. We've just heard that from a lot of people that just don't know they don't even know. I have a lot of neighbors that don't even know that we do organics recovery and recycling. Our neighborhood never got the little countertop compost.
Kitchen caddy.
The caddies, yeah. And so they're just like, oh, what? We can do that? So it just seemed like if there was some additional outreach at your green bin, that could be helpful.
And I appreciate you bringing that up. The website that we maintain and manage is an excellent resource for those. And even that changes, I feel, frequently on what goes where. So I would really encourage you to, the website is great. The EDCO team and the team in charge of the website do a really good job of keeping that up to date on what goes where. So I have it bookmarked because I need to refer to it often, but I would encourage everyone to use the EDCO website, What Goes Where tab, and it's very helpful. And you'd be surprised on what can be recycled and what can't be.
I'll just add that we're actually updating our website to update the signage. We do have signage available, but we're updating that. And then if your neighbors want to subscribe to our socials, if they're into that,
Yeah.
we put quite a bit of information out there as well about what goes where.
I also wanted to ask Paul, what are the 5 restaurants that are in the pilot program?
I'll see if I can remember this off the top of my head. It's Raul's, Gelato 101, Las Olas, oh my gosh, Prager Brothers, and there's one that I'm totally forgetting, and I can chat with you offline. But the good news is we'll learn all about it after June 30th when the report comes out.
Okay. And I got to say, the education on the website and on the EDCO website, although Encinitas website still kills me. It's just very not, it's really difficult to get around. But the EDCO website, it's all there, and there is information that if people are paying attention, it's there. And, I think that the question is how to get the people that haven't been paying attention. And because I think one thing like those little caddies that you guys gave to everybody, I think a lot of people didn't like the caddies because they didn't understand. That was right at the very beginning. And so it was sort of like given out before the people understood what they were supposed to do with them. And so I think some people, got rid of them before they understood what they were supposed to do with them, but I think that's one of the issues. I have one more question. Is that all? We need a battery disposal in Encinitas. We really need some sort of battery disposal that's going to be convenient. Because that's the one thing that I learned on the tour, that you guys, having batteries in the trash is really dangerous and could be a real problem. So I really think we need more than coming down to city council or the city parking lot, every 3 months or something. I think we need something that's available within the city or very close to that.
So thank you for pointing that out, because I always like an opportunity to plug this as well, because we do offer free door-to-door collection so it's by appointment. There's a number you can call. It's on our website. I wonder if I should just put it out here. I think it's 800-714-1195. I definitely don't have it memorized, because I definitely don't give it out very often. And our residents can call and schedule a pickup. So there's, they'll give you an appointment, essentially. Clean Earth is the subcontractor through EDCO, as Matthew explained. But for batteries, so universal waste is free, essentially. So any combination of batteries, light bulbs, electronic waste, and sharps are all free. If you have additional household hazardous waste items like pesticides, any number of the random things, motor oil, any other things you may have in your garage, those can be picked up for. There's a $10 copay that is then waived for residents 65 and over.
Oh.
But yes, batteries are free.
So someone can come to your house and they'll pick up all of that?
Now, is it still true that you have to leave a check? Because that's how I've done it. I had to tape a check to my waist. I don't know if that's changed, but
You're not
that's
old
what I
enough.
I had to go buy a check. I don't know.
I believe they can just charge your account now, and maybe you can clarify that. No, you can't. It's still a check? I don't know. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I want to say they took my credit card last time I did it, but
Just save it all till you're 65.
That's right. I'll
Yeah,
give it to my
just say-
dad.
But if you're 65, you have a check. Can
you
you give
just send it to the Zero Waste Program Administrator.
Can you give us that number one more time, please, Paul?
Sure. I hope I get it right. It's 800-714-1195.
Thank you.
All right, I'll be quick. I just want to shout out John Wick, by the way. We've chatted. Yep, we'll shake hands. But you and Logan have been super awesome about with the street stewards. Connecting with local businesses. We leave the trash. They come pick it up. I think I cold emailed or cold called, and just from the beginning, you guys were like, "Oh, that sounds awesome." I'm like, "You guys don't even know me," but you guys are super supportive. Super super thankful. And then one question: is there any new technology that's coming up in recycling that you guys are excited about? I mean, there's new things, but any paradigm shifts or revolutions in recycling on the horizon?
So I'll respond to your first point, that it's awesome that you guys are doing that, and it is a great program, and really appreciate that so we're happy to facilitate. On the second question, there's one thing that I have seen come up that we're sort of just very initially looking into, recycling apps. So a sort of it's like a scan and inform, or scan and dispose sort of model. So you scan a barcode, it tells you either at the point of sale or point of disposal. So you can use it both as a disposal, responsible disposal diversion tool, but also if you're really wanting to go full zero waste and make sure everything you purchase is recyclable. The trick would be to be right size that and make sure that that's copacetic with our local hauler, because they are the ones that we've been looking into are broader, but I think that's a potentially exciting piece of technology that's out there.
I'll add real quick, there's an exciting amendment pending for the city to make everything compostable, to make it very simple for people to put everything in the right bin and increase it going into the digester. That's very exciting. And I'm going to say thank you for the presentation. Again, Paul and Matthew, it was excellent. I had one question for Paul. Of the I Love Clean San Diego with the 5 cities, are they grabbing data points from the products that the city is currently using to now trying to navigate them into the bestest products and the price point difference that may exist there? Are they documenting that, and is that something we could get when they're done with their analysis?
Yeah, so absolutely. A part of that assessment and report is this sort of cost benefit. I think it certainly varies because I think that you have like the one bucket where folks are purchasing bioplastics and trying to do the right thing. And if you're going from that to like a bamboo, then it may be a wash, or in some cases you may even get a discount. Single-use plastics, obviously very different. Those are incredibly cheap, a little harder to be competitive. But that's absolutely information we're hoping to get out, because I would say the overarching concept of that effort, as well as the zero waste toolkit that we want to put out for our restaurants, is the proof of concept. So as we're going out and inspecting and enforcing, we want to give people a roadmap. And I think to Commissioner Parker's point earlier, it's to get to people that aren't interested. That's a way to circumvent that, ideally, right? Circumvent the behavior change, just make everything compostable and go into one bin or recyclable. And then maybe you're not completely circumventing it, but you're drastically reducing the need for it. But yes, to answer your question, that's absolutely part of the information we're hoping to get out of that report.
Excellent. And then lastly is I did take the tour too. Matthew was the leader of that tour. Absolutely amazing tour. So what it will take is one of the 4, and Robert, 5 of you to reach out and coordinate a date to go out there to see it. And it's worth every minute that it takes to get that done. So I don't know if one of you wants to be the person to spark that tour for yourselves, but it's as simple as that.
I had a couple questions going back to the cap goal. Sounds like construction debris and organics are the 2 big pieces left to get to 3 pounds. Is that correct?
That's what we're hoping.
Okay.
We see that absolutely as the 2 of the, and the reason why we say restaurants and multifamily, residential absolutely important, but in terms of where you think of, if you reach 200 restaurants, the amount of diversion potential versus 200 homes is, you're right, it's substantially different. Mm-hmm. And we see that with C&D as well, because it's incredibly dense, heavy material. Right. So we see those as it's not to say that nothing else is there on the horizon. It's just that we see it as the best places to focus efforts to try to take the biggest bite out of that.
Got it. And just based on like the chart you showed, perhaps we're not on the trajectory to hit that target, or is there something more like we can do to get on track, or how do you see that? Yeah,
so yes, at the current, if you were to draw a slope there, and we kept the existing trajectory, we would fall short of the 3.0. Mm-hmm. But I will have to say, I've compared us to other jurisdictions, and we're right out in front, if not in the front, because the information is publicly available. So I have to give us a little credence there, but yeah. But yes, we see that as. Again, yeah, it's really hard to know, because it's like you don't know what you don't know. You don't know how much, when it's not being diverted, you don't really know what the composition is necessarily, right? Because when it's all going to landfill, it's in a bag, and you can postulate how much of that is food waste, but you don't really know. So, but that's our best, based on the information we have, that's sort of our best guess at what will drive that number down the fastest.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then how much emphasis do you put on like reuse, or just like not creating waste in the first place, or do you see any opportunity there for that goal too?
Yeah, so as far as reuse, we're starting. That's why we're starting to do the things like the Swap and Shop event. Swap and Shop, sorry, that's the clothing swap. It's called the Swap and Shop. Things like that. Fix It. We're looking at maybe doing some Fix It clinics. It's kind of fascinating, because you go back a couple generations, and fixing it rather than throwing it away was sort of the culture. So I think that there's a lot of my colleagues and folks in this workspace are sort of making that look backward to see what we can learn from that and what we can implement. And we also have resources such as Waste Free SD that we do also promote on our website for folks to those difficult to recycle items, or can you donate it before disposing of it? This is absolutely part of the equation, and that it's a good point and that's why I think that that's a very good disposal or diversion metric, because it's accounting for waste reduction, not just diversion.
Thanks.
I have another question. So one thing that I've seen at UCSD and also in Canada, they had a big thing about having just paper towel trash cans. So in the bathrooms of bigger places that are going to have organic waste anyways, they have, and at UCSD in the theater complex, that their trash cans in the bathrooms, they have compost only, and then a little trash can for anything else. So most people are just taking the paper towels and throwing them in the trash can, and they've been doing that forever. And that can go in the organic waste. And it seems like a really simple way to start, and to get people who are not used to putting their trash in the organic waste other than yard waste, to try to just hit napkins. And then they can go to wiping their plates with their napkins. But I don't know. I think one place that would be good is like at the Y. At the Y has a lot of people going in and out in their bathrooms, and I think that would be a good place to start, because the more you have it in the public, the more people are going to think about it when they go home. That's what I'm thinking as well. I have more questions.
Okay. How many more do you have, Carol?
Well, I was going to ask about at the restaurants. You said that you had 9 enforcement, whatever you call them, at restaurants. But it seems to be that there's a lot more restaurants that are not having their 1383 required organic waste bins when they should be. Isn't that the case?
Yeah. So enforcement's one tool in the toolkit. So it's not that we would necessarily. I don't want to get super in the weeds on our enforcement process, but it's not that we would immediately go to like in NOV if that we try to do the education before the NOV. That being said, it's certainly as we look forward to where we think the biggest diversion opportunities are, it will likely ramp up, because we are going to do more bona fide inspections of front of house organics, and we would like to time that up with the delivery of some of these case studies from the I Love a Clean San Diego business waste assessments and our other tools we're putting out there, so that we again are not just here. So I would say that there's been a couple of cases where we felt it was like, a little bit more egregious and felt like that was the proper way to gain compliance. But to answer the question, yes, there probably are. But we want to make sure that we have all the tools in place before we start going, full on enforcement with the ones that are yet to comply.
Would it be helpful to have a list provided to you of what just normal eyes see when they're out eating? I think Commissioner Parker had mentioned about starting a little group like this group. Every time you go out and eat, start a list of who doesn't have a green bin out front, and not to take any action or even enforcement or education, but to give it to you so you know places that you could go and fix at when you had the time to do it.
We do have I would advise that it goes through the normal complaint channels that are available to the public. So that's our Tyler 311, recycling CA, recycling at encinitasca.gov, and then my number that I'm not going to put into this recording.
I'm sorry, could you repeat what you are suggesting that we do if we find some place that's out of compliance?
Actually, before you do that, can they use the My Encinitas app? Is that an option?
Yes.
Okay, That might be easier.
And
to
we're actually also in the process of, I just submitted it, of updating the My Encinitas app to make it more clear that you can report those type of violations through the app.
Are you all familiar with the My Encinitas app? Okay, yeah, I think that'd be an easier way.
I had just a couple of quick questions for Matthew. One is with the multifamily buildings, do all of those buildings currently have a green bin, or were they offered a green bin? Just kind of wondering what the status of that is.
100% compliant.
Really?
100% compliant. So additionally, we will be looking at if a 40-unit complex has the right amount
Okay,
of capacity.
got it. I just anecdotally have a friend that lives in an apartment complex and they don't have a green bin for their unit, but maybe they're in compliance for the whole building, but like you're saying.
Well, they are on wheels, so we
Okay.
can, if you would like to provide me that complex's address
Okay.
following the meeting, we can ensure that we get a replacement green bin
Oh.
out to them.
I see. So some might just get displaced or misplaced. Okay. And then I had a kind of like question further into the future. It's my understanding that, California is moving towards electric vehicles and that the trash collection vehicles will eventually move towards electric, although that might be kind of in the future. I was just wondering what will happen if EDCO moves more towards electric with the methane from the anaerobic digester if it's not needed for fuel.
So there are a number of options for zero emission vehicles. There is certainly the electric option. Those trucks are currently about $1 million a piece.
Okay.
And just to give you some perspective, I think I have 180-ish trucks in North San Diego. There's also hydrogen, and hydrogen can be created actually with methane. So I think methane is CH4. My chemistry from freshman year in high school serves me correctly. CH4 for methane.
That's
right?
4 hydrogens you can get
It's
out.
4 hydrogens you can get out of methane, yeah, molecules. So again, I'm not a chemist, but there is a nexus to methane and hydrogen vehicles, hydrogen electric vehicles.
Thank you. That's helpful. Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much. That was really informative. Great job.
Can I just want to add something that Commissioner Parker brought up and regarding batteries in the waste stream, and this is a really important issue. Since January of this year, and we've been counting because we've seen an uptick in the number of fires we have in our recycling facility. Since January of 2025, I've had 13 fires in our recycling facility. I cannot attribute them to batteries specifically. We suspect they are batteries, they're things that are illegally disposed of, chemicals or other, I shouldn't say inappropriately disposed of, but vaping devices have batteries in them. So just to your point, I want to double down on the batteries. It's really important. And not only we had facility fires, but we've had truck fires. I've had 2 route truck fires since January. I've had 2 tractor trailer fires since January. Those are transfer trailer trucks. So I just want to reiterate how important it is to not put batteries or to improperly dispose of items in any bin. So thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
And if I
Can I-
remember from the tour, plastic bags is still one of your nemesis.
Plastic bags is definitely a nemesis. It will not burn down a facility. Plastic is the #1 contamination. Thank you, Commissioner O'Connor, for bringing that up. Plastic is the #1 contaminant in our recycling stream by not only weight, but by volume. And the plastic that comes through, the film plastic, specifically film plastic, not PET or 1 through 7 plastic, that's not what I'm talking about, but film plastic, that can get wrapped around the machinery. It causes breakdowns of the equipment. And you'll see on the tour when you come out that it is hanging, everywhere, caught in the machinery. So thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it. But please, no plastic in the organics bin whatsoever. And there are ways to get around the ick factor, right? Layering organics with yard waste and food waste with yard waste helps with that. Putting food waste into paper bags before you put them in the green bin assists with kind of keeping the green bin clean. I've had my green bin for 8 years. I've never cleaned it. It's it doesn't smell. It doesn't, the grass clippings and the yard and the bushes and the woody material keeps it relatively clean. So there are ways to we get around what we call the ick factor when it comes to food waste recycling. But I would encourage anyone who is apprehensive to start small. Start with something that you can do. Coffee grounds are a big non-odorous, but start small. Start now. But again, there are ways to keep the bin clean. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, and we're moving on to action item 8A, June update of our work plan and commission calendar. Thanks, Crystal.
Get situated here. All right, so item 8A is our typical monthly work plan update. So this will be the June update of your work plan items. So as usual, what you're seeing on the screen is your work plan with your status tracking on the right, and anything that is in red bold is anything new for this past month that is here to be updated. So for your first project, which is the Commission's outreach and representation, I wanted to share that Commissioner O'Connor attended BCK's Eco-Literacy Showcase that was held at EUSD Farm Lab on May 6th. And then EcoFest was held on June 1st at Encinitas Community Park, and I believe Commissioner Chair Kramer was there helping out with that one. And then the city recently partnered to host TEDx Encinitas Boulevard, which will be at the Encinitas Library on June 8th. And tickets and more information can be found at this TED.com website here. And now I will jump down to one thing we should have added, and I'll add it for next month, is the Sustainable Solutions Fair that Paul had mentioned. So that'll be on June 22nd.
And for your record, I was at EcoFest also. Did anyone make Cyclovia this year? Yeah, so.
Awesome, thanks guys. All right, so jumping down to project number 3, which is the native plant policy. The update here is that SWCA Environmental Consultants, which is the city's consultant for the project, and city staff will host a second public workshop for the native plant ordinance on June 23rd. That'll be from 6 to 8 p.m. at City Hall in the Poinsettia Room. And the purpose of this workshop will be to receive feedback on the draft ordinance and discuss possible incentive programs for conversions of existing non-native landscapes. The draft ordinance will be available prior to the meeting for review, and the workshop is open to the public, and participation and input is encouraged.
Can I ask, when will that, the draft ordinance be available approximately?
I don't know exactly, but it's anytime between now and June 23rd, so probably anytime at this
So
point.
I won't be able to make it, unfortunately, I won't be able on this 22nd either, but I'm going to be gone on the 23rd, and I would like to see it.
Sure, yeah, I would, if I see it come out, I'd be happy to forward it your way.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
I'm sure it'll be advertised on social media and in our newsletters and stuff like that if you get any of those materials. So, yeah, but I'd be happy to share it with you all once it's out. All right, so project number 5, which is the Climate Action Plan update. So on May 28th, the City Council authorized an amendment to the consultants agreement to add a benefit cost analysis to the CAP update scope of work. So Staff is currently working on executing that amendment, and this will add some time to the timeline. This is a pretty extensive addition to the project. It will probably take 4 to 6 months of additional time to complete this analysis and then get the final cap update to City Council. So wanted to update you on that.
So when is the 4 to 6 months start?
Now, yeah, 4 to 6 months from now, yeah.
Can I have a question about number 7? Because there's no red on it
Yeah,
that we discussed, but
Yeah.
it looks like they're going to dredge the lagoon here pretty soon.
They are, yeah. The San Alejo Lagoon will be dredged this month. They have the dredge equipment is out and ready to go. They're just waiting on kind of the final piece of equipment to be at the lagoon to be able to complete the exercise. So we've been told that it's any time now that it'll be done.
Commissioners on the subcommittee of that, is there any way to observe that? I guess we could just go down from a distance.
Yeah,
and
and I'm happy to let
you
you know when it's actually happening, and you could just go along the side of the
Yeah.
lagoon and
watch.
Yeah.
But I was hoping for more
or along the trails or the bridge
discussion
that
with
goes
somebody.
over.
Okay.
And then for item 8, which is the zero waste project to look at enhancing our zero waste education. As you just saw earlier, Paul Meckler and EDCO staff were just presented tonight at your meeting.
I could add something to that. Sorry, that was loud.
Sure.
Carol and potentially myself and Commissioner O'Connor are scheduled to meet with Council Member O'Hara and I think Mayor Eilers about zero waste, and it will include education outreach next week.
Okay.
If you're interested in
great.
learning more, yeah. Thank you. Keep you updated on that.
All right, and then item 10 is the food service plastic ordinance. So the subcommittee met with Councilmember Schaefer regarding this item last month. And then the recommendation, I'll give you an even more current update from this. So unfortunately, the item was bumped to a future meeting. We're looking at August now. So there were a couple of reasons for that. Number one, this is the last meeting in June before they go on their summer recess, and it's a pretty full, it's the last meeting also of the fiscal year, so it's a pretty full agenda. And so unfortunately, this item, something needed to be bumped, and this was the item that was selected. The other thing is this would give this item an opportunity for additional information to be gathered to provide to City Council. And so I'm working with the subcommittee to kind of navigate some of those items that staff thinks might be asked by City Council. And so I think staff is thinking that would be helpful to the conversation if some of that information was available before it is presented to council. So we're looking at dates in August. I think we're tentatively looking at August 13th, so that'll likely be the date, but I'll give you another update at our next meeting. Anything to add there?
Mark and I also met with Councilmember O'Hara about
Oh,
this
okay,
last
great.
week.
I can add that.
Or was that this week? Was that earlier? Last week.
Okay, I can add that. And then I think there's one more. So for project number 12, the environmentally preferable purchasing and contracting policy. So city staff is working on internal improvements to the policy to implement the policy. And I have plans to discuss this progress and options with the subcommittee. So that is forthcoming. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that wraps up my presentation or my updates for you. And then if there's any other updates you guys have or any questions, feel free to ask away.
Okay. Would anyone want to make a motion to approve the work plan update?
I'll make a motion to approve the work plan update.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Okay, and now we can review the commission calendar.
All right, great. And then the calendar, so we're in June here, and so I always just look at the next few months ahead. And so in July, just a reminder that the commission will be on recess as well, so no meeting in July. And then the summer is pretty light, so other than your work plan items and working within your subcommittees, there's not a whole lot in terms of kind of to anticipate in terms of the commission as a whole. But in December, you'll be picking up with the initiating the awards program, and then commission recruitment will start for the next staggered 3-year term if that's up for renewal. Any questions on the calendar? All right,
Okay, thank you.
that wraps up the item.
Okay, thanks. And it looks like we have no commissioner-initiated action agenda items. Do we have updates on any items of interest?
This Saturday at SDA, we're doing our monthly cleanup. So I think you guys are all on the email, but yeah, I think Commissioner O'Connor will be there, hopefully see some or all of you.
8:30.
8:30, that's right.
Great, thanks.
Since we're not meeting next month, we're doing a restoration with Joe, who came from the Botanic Garden at Cottonwood Creek again. Mark, do you know that it's with the moonlight cleanup again? I can send everyone the date if they wanted to come, but
I'll try to find it.
mid-July. Sorry, I forgot we weren't meeting next month, or else I would have written it down, but
The 19th, July 19th, the third Saturday.
And what is that again? That's a restoration at Cottonwood Creek project?
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So where that trail goes to the pickleball courts along there, we've been removing invasive species and planting new.
Oh, okay.
So we're kind of just working our way through there.
Is that the south one or the west?
Yeah,
Area
west
or the-
of 101.
Okay.
Closest to Moonlight.
And there should be a beach cleanup by Surf Rider that same Saturday. And this month, there isn't one because of the Bro-Am is in town.
Okay, anything else? Okay, any future commissioner-initiated agenda items? All right, I think we can adjourn. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Maria.